Now I'm joined by our sports editor Derrick Lynch to tell us who's feeling fine and who's feeling sad after the weekend sport. Derrick, how are you?
I'm very well.
Let's start with soccer and Newmarket Celtic. I'm sure will be feeling sad, but Avenue United will be feeling pretty fine. They won an entertaining Clare Ennis Carpets Clare Cup final. It went to extra time and it was full of goals. 3-2 in the end.
Yeah, 3-2 in the end. It was really good game. Really good game, it has to be said. And a huge crowd as well out in Frankeely Park. And a sweet one, I guess, for Avenue United. They went into the break 1-0 up. Probably got the goal against the run of play at the time. Ryan Corcoran capitalised on a bit of a defensive mix-up in the Newmarket defence and nodded home from close range. And then a sloppy enough goal for Newmarket to concede. Jack Ryan with a really good finish, just coming in on a loose ball that really should have been cleared from Newmarket's perspective, finished it right to the bottom corner, and it was 2-0, and that's how it looked like it was going to finish. But probably one of the more, and it's on YouTube, the game was live streamed if anybody wants to watch it back, but one of the most bizarre goals I've ever seen. Shane Cusack with a free from behind the halfway line. People talk about Beckham against Wimbledon, this was up there. Used his left peg and it went all the way to the net. 2-1, and then all of a sudden in the last action of the game, the corner from Owen Hayes wasn't dealt with. Gary Leahy, the veteran that is, somehow wrapped his neck around the ball, got the head to it, and a la Schmeichel in the Nou Camp all those years ago, Shane Cusack was up making bother of himself. He just distracted the keeper, the defence and everybody, and the ball went to the net from Leahy's header. 2-2, and suddenly we're off to extra time. And I suppose from the Newmarket's point of view, it was a fantastic comeback because they played the majority of the game with 10 men. They had Tyg Noonan sent off early enough in the contest on his second yellow card, so it was a real slog for them. But then the man himself, Dylan Casey, a guy that we spoke about several times here on Clare FM, he had spent time in Millwall a couple of years ago playing with them, produced a brilliant left-footed finish from the edge of the area in the second half of extra time to win it 3-2. But it still wasn't done, there was still chances. But yeah, just a cracking atmosphere, a cracking game. It had everything that you would want, and a fitting way, I think, to end the season, and particularly I suppose end this year's rivalry between these two. Somebody referenced after the game, Newmarket have the league, Avenue have the cup, so I suppose spoiled shared in a lot of ways, but both are very greedy. They wanted both.
They want what the other one has.
Yeah, so I suppose Avenue would have been looking at Newmarket saying, ye took our league title. Newmarket are looking at Avenue saying, ye took our cup, so roll on next year.
Yeah, as I say, fitting end to the season whets the appetite for the new season. You'll be reflecting on that in Sideline View Review this evening, as you will with the All-Ireland Senior Camogie Championship, and Clare winning out by 5 points over Limerick on Saturday, 113 to 11 points across the road from us here. Yeah,
and again, a really good finish from a Clare point of view. I think they started the game slowly. I think Limerick got the first 3 points of the game, if I'm not mistaken, but then, like I spoke about her here last week, Roisin Begley popping up with another crucial goal for Clare. Bad news during the week, Lorna McNamara is done for the season. Unfortunately, that knee injury will keep her sidelined. That's a huge blow for the team. It's a huge blow for her because she was having an absolutely outstanding season, and from my money anyway, she was in line for an All-Star nomination already. So we wish her a speedy recovery. She's had her injury issues in the past, and for her club Fecal Killanena, that's going to be a huge blow for them as well when the club season comes around. But yeah, everybody seems to be now taking on that leadership role from a scoring perspective that she had brought, and as I say, none more so than Roisin. Another really good goal for her, and that's 3 from 3 for Clare now. And if you look at the standings on the table, it's actually only Offaly that can catch Clare now, because only one of Dublin or Limerick can get to 9 points, and Clare now have both of those on the head-to-head. So it's, if Dublin were to beat Offaly in the next outing, which many would predict, it'll mean that Clare's last 2 games are irrelevant really against Kilkenny and Offaly, because then Offaly can't get to 9 points and Clare will be through. And the top 2 in that group are put into a draw with the bottom 2 in the other group, and it's an open draw, so actually the standings don't matter, first versus second, it doesn't really matter. And I suppose next up for Clare now in 2 weeks time is a trip to Nolan Park to take on Kilkenny. Really good opportunity to test exactly where they're at in their development in a game now that has probably a good deal of pressure off it, and we know the last time Clare went to Nolan Park, they obviously won that league title against Dublin as well, so it's been a happy hunting ground in that sense. So yeah, real progress being made, and we're getting one step ahead of ourselves here, but we now know that Clare will play Dublin in the All-Ireland quarter-final in the hurling. It could yet work out, and I'll tell you, I am so excited.
Derrick's latest double-header request from Croke
so
Park.
Excited about the prospect of this, that you could have the Clare Camogie team in an All-Ireland quarter-final playing alongside the Clare men in a senior hurling final or semi-final on the day in Crow. I mean, that's unprecedented if it happens. So no pressure, lads. Over to you now to set that one up in a couple of weeks' time as your man across from me smirks for reasons that we'll keep off air. Yeah, but it's a brilliant opportunity, and it will be a savage day. So look, the Camogie have done their part. Now boys, just over to you.
Well, look, another Clare team who were in the quarterfinals are the Clare Intermediate Ladies Footballers, the All-Ireland Intermediate Quarters, and good win. It was the minimum, 111 to 110 over an impressive win though, considering Lynch were runners-up in last year's championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose with 15 minutes to go, the sides were level at 8 points apiece, and Lord Conway got the goal that really broke the duck. Clare were very brave in pushing the Laois kick out. They turned them over, got 1-1 in the space of a couple of minutes, and that really finished the game. But they had to withstand a late rally from Laois, who actually got a penalty with the last kick of the game. Now thankfully there was 4 between the teams at the time. The penalty was finished, but Clare still won by a single point. No, draw would have done them as well, because it's a 3-team group and Clare had already beaten Wexford. So yeah, a home quarter final now for Clare, which is massive, and I believe they're going to be across the road from us here in Páirc Uí Sóig for that game as well. So huge opportunity for them. And I suppose after we reference it, like a disappointing enough league campaign that did ultimately finish on a positive note and staying up, but I suppose to cut the shackles of that and move on in the manner that they have in championship has been brilliant. So another good score put up again yesterday, and some really good performances. So they're really motoring well now, and a bit of a break as well, which is huge. They've 3 weeks off now. They've had 7 games in 8 weeks. Like, that's a grueling schedule. And for anyone that was in Port Laois yesterday, the conditions were really tough. There was a driving wind and heavy bursts of rain and stuff like that. So they'll be very glad of the break now, as I say, with those 3 weeks off, and they'll be playing a team coming second in their group as well. Now there's some very strong teams in there, but you'll be thinking that you'll avoid the stronger teams in a quarter final, and who knows after that. So for Niall Hickey and Graham and all the managing team, like, well done to them.
Okay, time very much against us, but I do want to let you briefly mention an interview connected to the World Cup, which kicks off on Thursday, that you're going to have on this evening's show.
Yeah, when they found Saddam Hussein, there was a Cura Clare connection to it, right? There's also a Cura Clare connection to this year's World Cup, because I'm delighted to be broadcasting an interview this evening that I did with a guy.
Make a dictator joke there.
No. We'll move on quickly. A guy from Cura Clare living in Vancouver. He's due actually to be married to my sister, which I believe that in a couple of years' time. So got an interview with him. He's working with a company that were involved in actually designing one of the pitches at the BC Stadium in Vancouver. He was one of the lead engineers on the project, and that stadium is going to be hosting World Cup games. I think the first one's on this coming Saturday. Canada play one of their home games there. So we'll have a chat with him about that, and I suppose the general mood around Vancouver and Canada as the World Cup comes there, and lots more besides as well. Even talks about his former days as a Clare minor footballer.
Well, I can tell you one thing, being one of the foolish diehard Ireland fans who stayed up until nearly 3 a.m. watching Ireland play Canada in Montreal. They're fantastic everywhere except up front. They couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo, so they need to find a striker and fast. But everywhere else, some good players. Us, on the other hand, a lot of work to do. Anyway, Derrick, thank you very much for joining us on the show.